Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Doing It Bubba Style, the #1 rated, internationally syndicated motorsports show. Brought to you by the award-winning father and son car building team and the hosts of the show, Bubba and Tom.
Good morning, Bub. How you doing? It's Saturday morning here in beautiful, sunny South Florida. Well, rainy a little bit, huh, man?
Yeah, man. It's doing pretty good so far. Just, I've actually been trying to figure out what I'm trying to do here this morning because everybody knows, or if everybody doesn't know, it is your birthday today.
Thank you, Bub.
So happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Bub.
We are trying to figure out plans and crap like that. We have no idea what we're doing, but I'm sure it's going to be a gong show.
It usually is.
So I'm kind of like in the works right now because you know that I've got a lot of stuff I got to get done on my plate here in terms of the work, but that's not important when it comes to your birthday. So it's like I'm trying to figure out am I going to, after the show, like even before the show, I really did absolutely nothing. I've done nothing all morning long.
No, that's not true. You've been back in your office catching up with a lot of administrative stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree on that one.
Bub, I've been watching you do posts and send stuff out and work on Instagram and stuff like that.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, that's all small stuff, but I'm like getting to the point where I'm like, well, I've got the SEMA Jeep that I've got to finish up.
The BE this Outlaw Rough Country Jeep. Yeah.
I'm like trying to figure out like, hey man, should I go back and I've got a couple pieces that are already ready to go. Like we've got those Smitty built fenders ready, the XRC fronts, the hood I still need to do some sanding on, but I've got the front fenders ready. I've got the side body cladding ready. I've got the rear fenders ready. I'm just wondering in my mind, even though everything is not ready, because you know me, I like to just kind of do everything at one time. So I was waiting to do paint until I had the bumpers ready, the front and rear. Also, the hood I need to reshoot. So it's like I'm wondering, should I wait till it's all ready and just paint and clear everything next week? Or should I run back and just paint a couple pieces now that are ready to go just to check them off my list and get them off my plate?
You know what, Bub? Sometimes it's easier to clear your head and focus on having fun when you get things off your checklist. So if it feels like that you need to knock those things out, it's understandable. Go back, knock them out.
I've got them. They're ready. But I'm also like, you know how it is when you go to paint. You can't stop when you start painting. So it's like, once I start that process, I can't stop and break for anything. So with the plans being kind of all over the place, you're thinking about possibly wanting to go to the gym this afternoon. So I'm kind of like,
we can bypass that. No, it's all right, man. We can go Monday. We're there.
Well, I'm just trying to
time,
calculate it. Like if I were to start shooting right, I've got a couple pieces I could scuff down.
Don't put yourself.
All right, so I'll wait to paint on Monday.
Yeah, don't put yourself under the pressure.
I just made the decision right now.
Right on, Bub. Good morning, everybody from around the world. Welcome to the #1 rated, internationally syndicated motorsports podcast, Doing It Bubba Style, right here on the Bubba's Exotic Motorsports Network, Bub. We welcome everybody from around the world. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Tina Rollins, for joining us. We appreciate it very much. Thank you for your birthday well wishes. I appreciate everybody around the world who has been welcoming me. I got up this morning at 4:30 and started checking my social media, Bub, and of course I was getting happy birthday wishes from all over the world. You know, man, that really makes me feel good, Bub.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It is, man, because you know what? We try to really touch people's lives, you know, throughout the year, and it's nice to know all those people out there are kind of connected, Bub. So this episode is brought to you by Bubba's Exotic Motorsports. That's Bubba'sExoticMotorsports.com. Miss Outlaw Boutique, MS Outlaw Boutique, is on the internet exclusively now, MissOutlawBoutique.com. You are building the Bubba's Exotic Motorsports Rough Country Miss Outlaw Boutique SEMA Jeep. We're going to talk a little bit about that before we have two of our very special guests join us today, Bub. Orange County Choppers. Orange County Choppers are, Bub?
Choppers done Bubba style.
They are indeed. By the way, man, your good friend Billy Lane's doing a lot of stuff. Did you see the throwback picture that he put up there where he had from back in 2002, man?
Yeah.
It was a great picture, man.
Yeah, really good.
Really, really
just
good
shredding
picture.
that tire off of there.
He said, I've been around.
Yep.
He has, hasn't he, man?
Yep.
We've all been there. Anybody in the public's eye has all been there. And, Bub, I want to remind everybody that here locally, and you don't have to be local to contribute, that it is the Run for the Sea 2018. And we have here, Bub, a beautiful, beautiful wildlife environment with the birds and the crocodiles and the alligators and just all the animals. And every year the loggerhead turtle comes up and lays their eggs. They're very protected. They protect the nests here. They put up
is it turtles or turd eye?
No, it's not a turd eye like a Jedi. It is turtles.
Are you sure?
Yes, plural, not like cacti. Yes.
I'm going to wiki this one.
You're going to wiki that one?
Yeah.
Right on. Very, very happy birthday from Steve Thomashefsky, who's going to be joining us from Talking Cars, a very successful show, going to be joining us here on the Blog Talk Radio platform. He's going to join us at 9:25, bottom of the hour, with Rich from Superformance, man. It's going to be fun. But anyways, the big loggerhead run for the sea, and that's what the Turtles do. They run for the sea, right, Bub?
That's right.
They're big races today, man. So everybody go out and check that out at marinelife.org. Marinelife.org. You'll see it right out there. Says, don't worry, you can still participate if you're not from the area at the Loggerhead Marine Life Center by joining the virtual run. You can earn a race medal and t-shirt by participating as a virtual runner. Pretty cool where technology's taking us, isn't it?
That's pretty good.
So, and we know a couple people out there that are running that race today, and we wanted to make sure everybody supports that effort because the Loggerhead Turtles, man, are pretty cool, aren't they, Bob?
Yeah, really cool. Really cool.
And they've got great personalities, don't they?
Yeah.
I see that video I posted on my Facebook wall of English Bulldogs, man. A lot of people like that. It was so classic the way it opened up, wasn't it? Because of the AMX Tyler, he's a Supercross champion, 125 Supercross champion. I pulled that down off his wall. He follows us. And
yeah.
I like the opening one where the bully's coming down on the ice in the sled and just careens right into the garage door, picks himself up and gets going.
That's pretty much what they are, dude. Just straight bowling balls.
They really, really are. So thank you to Claire out there. Happy birthday. I hope you have a great day. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Thanks, everybody. I really, really, really appreciate it, Bub. So, Bub, I'm going to jump into this segment real quick. I want to talk about the BEM Rough Country Miss Outlaw Boutique SEMA Jeep that you are in the process of building. And we're going to be joined from Rich and this is going to be a great segment, man. Rich from Superform is going to join us again, Bub, from out in California.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about him and his dad and Steve Thomashefsky. It's going to be a great show, man. And I want to start it off by, let's talk a little bit about the BEM 40-inch lift, man. 40-inch rough country. It's on 40-inch tires, man. That thing's lifted 6 inches. It's huge, man.
Yeah, it's it's pretty solid, man. It's definitely what you would say, and what everybody's considering this thing a monster Jeep. I mean, and that is true. Most Jeeps, they get pretty big when you start doing 3-inch lifts, 3.5-inch lifts. They don't need much to get that height, and when you get that height, you can naturally add larger wheels and tires. And your average kind of go-to size, man, is like anywhere between a 3 and sometimes a 4.5-inch lift on 37-inch tires.
Yep.
That's kind of like the average go-to. It's like the full flex, and no scrubbing, no rubbing. This one we went ahead and we pushed that bar even further. We pushed it up as pretty much as far as we can go, utilizing the Rough Country product line, and that is what they sent us was the complete Rough Country 6-inch suspension lift kit for all Jeep JKUs, which is the 4-door version. And it's everything, dude. It's everything you can imagine and then some. The kit itself was spot on. One of the things that you really get into when you start doing these kinds of builds is really taking the time and having a true understanding of, how to install things, but not just install them, how to install them properly. And, that's key when it comes to doing big, massive lifts like this. A 6-inch lift is much more than the average 3. You're double the size of what typically you're doing. So a lot's going to change geometry-wise. A lot changes in, your drive shafts, your drivetrain, your pinion angles, your control arms, your flex, your binding. Everything's going to change so much more by doing a 6-inch difference of a vehicle ride height. And then you go and you throw on some massive wheels and tires. And this one we did both, man. We did that 6-inch rough country lift. We hooked it up with a set of Nitto 40-inch tires. They're 40 by 1550, so they are massive tires, absolutely huge, insane. The look, the fit, the finish, the stance, super, super bold, really thick, man. If you guys haven't seen it, go to our Instagram page, instagram.com/Bubba's Exotic Motorsports, and you will see that thing fresh out there right now.
I will, Bub, be posting, after we clear the air, I'll be posting an Instagram posting. You do a lot of the social media here behind the scenes, although I want to welcome our new team, SMO Marketing. You and I have engaged in a contract with them. There's going to be a lot of changes in the marketing perspective here. I think we start Monday with them, don't we, Bub? Something like that. Very interesting. We just finalized negotiations with them. It's going to bring a whole new face to it for us. I'm really, really excited, man. But I'm going to be posting a Facebook posting an Instagram posting you just did, Bub, of the BEM Rough Country Miss Outlaw Boutique SEMA Jeep next to a stock Jeep. That was here yesterday. And it is incredible. To me, you guys kept saying, it's huge, man, it's monsters, blah, blah. And I thought, you know what, I guess maybe it's just because I work side by side with you, Bob, and I'm so used to seeing the things you build and the quality and the beauty of what you build that to me, it just wasn't hitting me hard enough. But when I saw it sitting next to that stock Jeep, it really came home, man.
Well, yeah, it's, overall, it's, we go from, just for rough ideas here for people out there listening, the stock Jeep rides on something just at about a 30-inch tall tire. And when you take and add the differences of what we did, between a 6-inch lift plus that difference of a 30-inch style tire to a 40-inch style tire, that's a pretty solid gain. So overall, the overall ground clearance and lift was 11 inches between the two.
Okay.
And the difference of that comes from you take your tire at 30 inches, subtract it from the difference of your 40, that's 10, but you're not just adding 10 inches of tire because you're only adding 5 inches. You're cutting that in half because you're only adding tire all the way around, a measurement all the way around the tire, not just at the bottom, right? So it's an even amount all the way around the tire. So 5 inches there, 6 on the lift. So 11 inches up, man, for a Jeep. That you already naturally have to have steps to get in for ease of comfort. Add another 11 inches, another foot to it. That's a pretty big gain.
So, Bob, one of the things we talked about yesterday is we discussed, and many people had questioned you about it, family and not family, about the vehicle ride quality being lost. And one of the things as a designer you do, and one of the reasons you've worked exclusively with Rough Country, is because of the quality of product. You're not substituting that ride quality, especially as you build for a lot of Major League Baseball players. You don't want them getting in their Jeep all beat up after the games and then riding home all beat up.
Yeah, these guys drive too. Sometimes from game to game, you got to drive if they could be somewhat considered local games where there's still a couple hour drives.
Yeah.
So you want it to be comfortable. You want it to not only look good, but do its part, be totally functional, and be super smooth, man, and more importantly, reliable.
And Bob, so one of the things that we talked about was the tires and the hum of the tires and the noise of the tires, the road noise. Let's talk about what you did to make sure that you didn't have that problem, because Layla Von Athey does travel a lot in her Jeep to see family members.
Yeah, so of course we went with a massive tire on this thing. Going to a 40-inch tire, you do drop down in terms of your tire selection and availability, because it is something that is that's not your go-to tire for everyday vehicles, right? So it's kind of a little bit more on the rare side of a size. Granted, they are out there, but you can also find stuff, 40s, 44s, 48s. You can start finding those things, but you start going from a radial into a bias ply style tire.
Why is that, Bob? Why do they do that?
I don't know, just pure size and design. It's not something that's looked for.
Okay.
So, dang it. So you're working with these tires that are massive, much more than what you would ever put on a street vehicle, or your average go-to street vehicle. So you gotta look, look at what's out there, look at what's available. Of course, our go-to is going to be Nitto. Naturally, running that size tire, I would have loved to have run a Nitto Ridge Grappler on there, but that size is not available in what we're doing. So you step down to your next best thing. If you can't find that best one, you step down to the next best thing. Again, it's all in that availability. And on this size tire, 40 by 1550, that is a fairly rare size once you start getting it, especially with a 24-inch rim. So it's something a little more rare, but not hard to get your hands on. The tires, of course, in stock, so it's not hard, but you're just limited on what's available because it's not kind of like your go-to every day. So we did run with the Trail Grapplers. They are an incredible tire, super, super solid, really aggressive tread and lug pattern design on them. They're going to do work, man. They're going to do exactly what they should do. And as long as you keep your tire pressure set right, everything maintained, frequent rotations when you do your oil change and maintenances, those things will wear down beautifully. They will have a consistent tread pattern on them, and they won't create that nasty, disgusting hum that you hear 90% of the time.
It's crazy too, Bub, because when you remove the wheel and tire combination from the Jeep that was on there, you were running the Trail Grapplers, I think. No, not the Trail Grapplers. What tire were you running on that?
Those were Terra Grapplers.
Terra Grapplers, yeah. That's right. I couldn't believe they've been on the Jeep 2 years. I couldn't believe that 90% of the tread pattern was still on there, and they've got what, 20,000 miles on them, man?
33 now.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. You just take you take such great care of things. Bub, hook my phone up so I can see that it's running. You take really good care of things. In terms of the way you set tire pressures and the way you rotate things and the way you do things. And that's why they last so long. There's so much longevity to it all.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. It really is. But one of the other things, too, I saw Miss Outlaw sleeping underneath the Jeep yesterday. It's so tall, she was literally asleep under the Jeep.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely tall enough that you don't need to use a lift now to do your servicing. That's for sure. You just sit right underneath.
You wouldn't have to do anything to get the oil changed, would you?
No, nothing. I mean, even like, so of course, going to this kit, we did longer brake lines, blah, blah, blah. We did a bunch of upgraded pieces. Even yesterday when I was doing the brake bleeding, I literally was just sitting underneath of it while I was bleeding all four corners.
I saw you were doing that. You were on a creeper rolling that back and forth from corner to corner.
Yeah, no jack or anything. Just slide around, make it easy.
How do the brakes feel now? I mean, with the stainless steel brake lines on it.
It's funny because, when you start increasing your wheel and tire weight and the rotational size, it takes more for those discs to pull it down. So a little bit more pressure. But I'll tell you what, man, it's, it's almost like an offset, because, of course, the factory Mopar style setup is all rubber flexible brake hoses. And we actually upgraded those, again, with Rough Country 6-inch extended. And, it almost got rid of that rubber flex that you would feel from having to, overly step on the brake pedal to, compensate for the size of the tires. And, now you go to step on the brake pedal, and it's a nice firm feel because it's running stainless steel braided lines versus rubber flexibles where they actually can expand a little bit under severe pressures.
Do you have to, Bob, in doing that process, do you have to go to larger brake packages, or can you work with what's there?
No, it's what's nice is these things are coming with factory right out of the gate. They're all 4-wheel disc brake systems. They are coming with a very well matched design. Everything from the bore and stroke of the actual master cylinder itself to the way the fluid moves to the size of the calipers. Everything is matched so well on these Jeeps, man. Everything up to 35s, 37s, 38s. I mean, average driving, zero problem at all.
Right.
It's you got to keep in mind, a lot of guys really sometimes overthink these things. You still, at the end of the day, have to consider it's just a Jeep Wrangler. You're not going to be going 140 miles an hour looking for a 12-piston caliper style brake to slow you down. It's not going to happen. You're not creating those kinds of speeds. Now, you are moving with weight. You're moving with height. You're moving with, a little bit more. So you do want to still be able to slow it down safely and properly. But no problem at all, man. On any of these 35s, 37s, 38s, going into these 40s, you definitely notice a little bit of that brake loss, that instant grab that they had. You notice it just from the sheer size of the wheel and tire, the rotational, pull that thing takes to slow it down. But there are huge big brake kit companies out there offering for Jeeps because they are so high demand.
You don't generally upgrade like that, Bob. I mean, and not that I'm not saying that you cut corners. You just know what needs to be done, and you don't upsell it.
I feel like for the driving that this thing's got going on, it's perfectly fine how it is. There's zero wrong with it. And to change the brakes at this point would be two things. It would be, one, very financially large, and two, it would be really just for that upgrade. You're going to get a massive upgrade out of it. How much of it would you really utilize? That's hard to say. It depends on one of those situations of, whenever you're going to need to really slam into that brake pedal, but there are companies out there, like Brembo does sell kits for these things, but north of $4,500 for each package, front and rear. So you're looking at, just over $9,000 and just calipers, rotors, pads, just to get these things upgraded to a massive size. I mean, I'm talking like 14, 15-inch rotors, what you would see on, high-performance ZR1, Corvettes, Camaros, Challengers, Hellcats, all these things.
Yep. Bub, good morning to Bob Snow. The Snowman is watching us. Speaking of the Snowman, Bub, I understand that the Bandit Run will be here. For those of you who don't know who the what the Bandit Run is, if you're in this area, it's worth checking out. Tell everybody what the Bandit Run is, Bob.
So yeah, man, it's all these Trans Ams that go out from the iconic Burt Reynolds. You get everything from earlier models, but also into later models. Kind of the key is everything from that Bandit Trans Am style from 77 to 80. Yeah. You really get that style, in between there, which is considered the second gen Trans Ams. That's really what you see a lot of the, black and gold packages, the SEs. You see a lot of guys with the white and blue. You see, all kinds of stuff out there. It's all there. But these guys almost do like a power tour deal where they just go through either destinations or stops or, just a point A to point B or 50 stops along the way and just cruise these nasty looking rides up and down the street in tribute to Burt Reynolds.
It's pretty cool because Mr. Reynolds lives here on, he lives on the opposite side of the island, but Jupiter Island is where all the celebrities live down here. Kid Rock and Rod Stewart, Celine Dion, all of them live right in there. And the iconic Mr. Reynolds has lived in that house since, what, 77, Bob?
Yeah.
It's called Valhalla, just like in California, is what his gate says. And it's black. And once it opens up, you go down this twisting driveway to where his house is sitting on the Intercoastal.
Yep.
That's correct. Good morning to Michael K. He says, what's up, guys? I saw a monster Jeep next door, rough country. Happy birthday, Tom. Bubba Ella says hello.
Mike, tell Ella I said, what's up?
What's up? Yeah. So, and thank you for the birthday well wishes. So, yes, it's going to be pretty cool. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our caller joining us right now. He is always a wonderful guest, Bob. I wanted to invite Rich from Superformance back in. We didn't have enough time with him last time. He's getting up early from California. We had a bunch of emails with people wanting to hear him join us again.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to bring him back in, Bub, to join us here on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Rich from Superformance. Good morning, Rich. How are you today, man?
I'm doing just fine, guys.
There he is, man. There he is.
How are you?
Good,
Doing really
man.
good.
Good, man. It's great to hear from you. How's everything going out in California, brother?
It's early, but everything's going fine. I wanted to wish you a happy Father's Day weekend, my
thank you,
friend.
man. Thank you, man. Really good, man. And the same back to you, man. It's going to be a great weekend, isn't it?
I hope so, yeah. How's the weather out down there in Florida?
Well, beautiful right now. I'm actually in our studio. I can actually look out the front, and it's beautiful, bro. It's there's not a cloud in the sky. It's probably 85, 90 degrees, super, super hot, and it's only going to get hotter, man. So we're looking forward to it.
How's it your way, man?
Same. Well, it's early, right? So it's the sun not up yet. It looks like it's going to be a nice sunny day. Yesterday was about the same. We were about 85, 90 here. So, hey, you can't beat the weather in the places both you guys and I live, right?
That's right.
You can't, man. Hey, Rich, have you guys had a lot of rain out there in California this year?
No. We're in drought conditions, essentially. So it's not raining much lately, which is fine with me. I mean, I love the nice warm weather, but we could certainly use a bit of rain when it comes.
Well, we're going to send
it's not going to come.
your way.
We're hitting summer now, right? So we've already passed the rainy season. We didn't get much.
Oh,
And we just started hurricane season.
It hasn't stopped here, Rich, for the past month and a half. Every day between 2:45 and about 4:30, it is just, torrential downpours, bro. I mean, we literally have guys on our street because it does rain so much, and our streets all the streets down here in South Florida are, they're tapered down towards the edges so that they don't flood intentionally. And our street literally floods so bad last, I think it was like last Friday.
Yeah.
There were SWAT teams out here, fire trucks out here. They had all the streets shut down because cars were just floating down the street.
The worst thing I've ever seen. And then they get the airboats out, Rich, and run those up and down.
Well, then I guess we've got you guys beat. If you want to live in a place where you could drive our exotic cars, you got to come to Southern California.
Yeah, we float our exotic cars.
Yeah,
You
we
guys
just
at
float
least
around
drive
down
them.
here. Everybody wonders why all the cars around
Yeah,
here have little propellers on the back of them.
Is that like an amphibia Lambo or something like that?
Exactly.
Amphibious.
That's exactly right. So, Rich, how are you doing out there, man? Tell us what's the latest going on at Superformance and Mom, Dad, the whole story, man. How is everybody?
We're doing great out here. We're actually killing it as a company. We're selling lots of cars. One thing that we like to do, and we pride ourselves in, is come up with original tribute runs. And our cars, there's a lot of companies out here that make these, Cobras, Daytona Coupes, but no one makes them as period correct as Superformance. You guys know that.
Of course. That's
what we
why.
like to do, and again, we're the only company in the world that's licensed by Shelby American to build our Cobras. Our Daytona Coupes are actually legitimate Shelby, so they come with the CSX chassis stamp. Our Corvette Grand Sports are also licensed by General Motors. They're built from the original tooling of the 1963 Corvette Grand Sports. Our GT40s also carry the original trademark and license. They're also built from the original tooling and jigs from the GT40s in the 60s. So our cars are legit. They're period correct. And one thing we like to do is come out with tribute runs, and we team with Shelby a lot. and release limited runs. And one we have out right now is the Bob Bondurant tribute.
Yeah.
And you can get, we're going to build just 50 of these. You can get them in Cobra Roadster form, or you can get them in a Daytona Coupe. So they're liveried exactly how Bob ran these cars back in 64 and 65. You can get the Daytona in aluminum or fiberglass. You can get the Roadster in aluminum or fiberglass, and there's only going to be 50 of these cars built. So once they're built, they're sold, they're gone. You're going to have to get them in the secondary market. One of the great things about this run, you guys, is they come with period correct CSX 2000 series chassis numbers. So Shelby reached deep into the vault to release some of these numbers from back in the day.
Jesus, man,
to allot them to these 50 cars. So we're really excited about it. We just debuted them a few weeks ago. We've had great response to them. They're beautiful cars.
And Bub, what do we typically see in the industry when we have runs like these where there's only 50 or 100, or for example, even with the production series Porsches, what do people do with the cars?
You know, it's funny, man, because it's you know, there are some guys out there that will of course they have money. You know, that's starting factor number one.
Absolutely.
And then there are guys out there that if you are running a limited edition or some sort of collector series, an item that is, you know, it's never going to depreciate in time. It's always going to go up. You know, something like that. There are guys that will literally buy them to just say that they have them and to park them. And honestly, sometimes that's what guys do. But there are also some of those guys that are not just the guy that did it because he wanted to say he had it. He's the guy that wants to take it out and show it and let everyone know he has it. You know, so there are some guys that will literally take them out and run them and do exactly what they're meant to do.
And you know what happens, Rich, when you see Porsche had a huge call, as I'm sure you know here recently, to get these cars out of the garage. I'm guilty. I'm one of them. Bub drives his.
I run the crap out of mine.
Yeah, you do, man. But you know, Rich, when you do these limited production runs, what do you guys do in terms of wanting these cars out on the street and they're just held up in a garage or a warehouse somewhere like Jay Leno's?
Yeah, you know, that is not an issue, but that does happen. When you get a lot of times these special runs, a guy with a collection of cars, got 25 or 30 cars, he'll buy one of these, and they do go up in value. So he'll park it, and 4 or 5 years later, you'll see these same cars with 2 miles or 3 miles, so they don't run them. And we have a few in our showroom, like we've got a GT40 50th anniversary in our showroom, and it's got 2 miles on it, and we're actually selling it on consignment for one of our customers. So you're right, a lot of these cars don't get run. But for the person who buys it that doesn't have 15 or 20 other cars, you'd be surprised. They do get these cars out there. They take the cars in copies. They show them.
To your point,
oh, my Lord. I mean, you can imagine the attention that these cars get. So we also offer this Bondurant tribute in an FIA compliant form.
Wow.
So if you want, for the customer who wants to run these on the vintage circuit, you're looking at about another $100,000 to make it completely FIA compliant.
Jeez,
but there's guys who buy these cars that want to do just that. And can you imagine an identical built, identical liveried Bob Bondurant Spa Cobra out on the vintage circuit?
And
crazy.
It's going to be awesome.
And let me ask you this too. Is that what, and I'm just asking, Bob, from a technical standpoint here. I want to know from Rich, what tires are going to be on those cars?
Yeah, you can get, but, you know, we have all sorts of tires. You can put billboards on it, but I wouldn't obviously suggest those to track the car. We got Nitto tires that are sticky. We got Avons. Again, with Superformance, we'll put whatever the customer wants on the car, and that's one of the unique aspects of our companies. We don't build them cookie cutter. If someone wants different tires and rims on our cars, our Superformance cars, we'll do that. Let me also tell you, Tom and Bub, we just, speaking of limited runs, not too long ago, we released only 15 of what Shelby and Superformance called Sebring Cobras. So the customer can get these Sebring Cobras liveried in one of 4 legendary Shelby American drivers. So you could purchase the car and have it liveried the way Dan Gurney drove it, have it liveried and finished the way Grant drove it. I don't know if you remember Alan Grant, yellow with black striped Cobra, the one that George Lucas designed the paint scheme. Alan Grant livery. You can get it in Kenny Miles livery, or you can get it in my personal favorite, the Dave McDonald livery.
Yeah, man.
So
There you
only
go.
four liveries for this car. There was only 15 made. We've sold 14 of them. There's only one left. So
Wow.
if any of your listeners out there buy a very rare Shelby Superformance Sebring Cobra, again with a CSX 2000 series chassis number, and they're well priced. You can get them for $196,000.
Right on,
so
man.
We've got cars that will sell up to $500,000, $600,000. These are well priced. Once the 15 are sold, the cars really go up in value. So again, one left at the factory. It could be purchased and liveried however the customer wants. Comes with a Shelby all aluminum 289 engine, pumping out 520 horses.
Wow.
They're beautiful, beautiful cars. And actually, the Gurney family, before Dan died, bought one for Dan for his surprise birthday gift. So
Wow.
it was really something. So clearly, if it's good enough for the Gurneys, it's good enough for anyone.
Wow, Bub, we invite Rich on the show. The phones are hopping here. People are commenting. Good morning to Jack out there in Ontario, Canada, joining us as well. Dennis Overholser is the official electric sponsor for Bub. Painless Performance
That's
is.
right. Wiring done Bubba style.
Sure is. Good morning, Dennis. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm also going to introduce you to my good friend, fellow podcaster, Steve Thomashefsky from Talking Cars and Autobahn. I asked him to join us on this episode because of his devout following and Rich being with us at from Superformance because there's such a tie-in. Good morning, Steve. Thank you for joining us and the iconic Rich McDonald.
Well, good morning, Tom. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Bubba, Rich, good morning from Chicago.
Right on, man.
Morning. How you doing?
Now,
Up and running here. On our way to Autobahn Country Club today. Another great event, and we see a lot of the cars out there. Rich, we'd like to see one of your cars out there at the Autobahn Country Club. I don't think we're going to be at Laguna Seca until November, but we certainly look forward to it. A 289 that I remember in 1965 had about 230 horsepower. So coming up to you today in 550, you're killing it, man. You're killing it. God bless you. God bless you.
With that power to weight ratio
Oh.
of 550 horses, it is a whole lot of fun.
Oh, it is. And Bub, what
Wow.
I want you to do, Bub, share with both. There's no secret, Bub, that you being in the top 3 of the industry today in terms of designing, fabrication, and building, as voted by your peers, the big guys out there. There's no secret that a lot of industry firsts come through you. I want you to share with Rich and Steve what you're doing now with the 2018 Mustang. It's the only one like it in the world. I know Rich will get real freaked about this car. He'll want to hear about this. Share this car with him and share how it got to you out from the Ohio area.
Yeah, man. It's just gonna be another one of those total monsters out there on the street, man. It's Rich, as you know, especially being so in depth with today's cars and designs. Not only just building the luxury replicas, but also in terms of today's technology, what's available.
Luxury replicas, that's correct, Bub.
So, you think about today's technology in terms of motors, man, and these things are coming out of the gate. You can buy these crate engines at, basic numbers now, man. Basic numbers of horsepower in today's world are 500, 550, 600. I mean, those are basic numbers to just throw out there, where there used to be a time where, almost like Steve was just saying, where 220 horsepower was something to be like, I mean, people were jumping over it, right? And now with today's cars, you can take that number and push it even further, typically 30, 40, 50% gains just on the motor alone by adding, forced induction systems and, things like that. And that's what we're doing right now. We've got an insane build that we're doing here at the shop, capable of pushing just at about 1,200 horsepower. We are going to lay this thing down at just about the 800 horse mark at the tire on a brand new 2018 Mustang sent in straight from Ford and using Hellion's twin turbo kit. And it's going to be nasty, man. I mean, we're having fun with it. It's going to be a beast. A lot of custom components going on this thing. I mean, full suspension to body mods to carbon to, interior, exterior designs, just everything.
And Bub, explain to Rich what makes this one different than any other Mustang in the world and why it's so important, the tune you're writing for this car. Share with
so for right now, again, being so fresh out of the gate, this is an 18. The cars haven't really been played with too much. even though it's still that same style and principle, really from 15 all the way on the new Mustangs, the S550 body style, the chassis style. This one is actually the very first 6-speed manual transmission twin turbo setup. So where that seems basic in terms of the tune side of this thing is where it gets really sophisticated, because the only thing that's ever been done to these cars, and as everybody knows, it's really hard to tap into cars' computers if they haven't been done. You have to break the code to get into it, and then once you're into it, you have to start understanding parameters, how the thing works, and what controls what. And all of that takes simple time and skill, and it takes typically months, sometimes years for that to even happen. Mopar still to this day has their computers locked down to where you have to send them out to special companies just for people to send you back a replacement ECU that's unlocked, right? So, it's something that's super tricky, but, the only one that has been done has been an automatic at Hellion Turbo Systems. So now we're going through and we're trying to do this code writing and get this tune available and unlocked so that we can adjust all these parameters on a manual style setup.
Well, I wanted to say, this is Steve from Talking Cars in Chicago, that, looking at Rough Country's website, there's a lot of kits you can buy at a very normal price. I'm looking at a 3-inch GM body lift kit for $199 for an 88 to 98 Silverado. Let me tell the world to be very careful when you buy a $199 lift kit if it's not installed properly. It just seems you can get underneath it. You turn a few wrenches, you get a few nuts and bolts out, Rich, I'm sure you agree. And about halfway through it, you're missing the one tool that you need. You ran out of time, you ran out of money, and now you're trying to call somebody going, who can help me with this? So, these performance shops out there, especially yours, Bubba's, are just good. And what we do up here a lot, I'm sure you guys do, is we have coffee and cars once a month at our shops. That's a big thing up here in Chicago. And I think if people are looking at Rough Country or something like Rich's Mustangs, that they just want to see them. They want to understand them. $190,000 sounds like a lot of money until you get halfway into it and you don't finish it.
But you see the quality, too, of what
and there's always
builds.
And you see the quality.
That's it.
And, all these racetracks out there, you guys know I go to the dealerships and I do a lot of work. A shout out to your local police chief out there, Frank Cicero. Who's from Fairfax, Virginia, by the way. So, the logic is these kits are good, but make sure you got a shop, somebody like Bubba or Tom, or go and talk to Rich and just say, I got a question. There's no embarrassment to go in and look at a $100,000, $200,000 car. It may not be for you. There may be something else there. And, I deal with Ken Lingenfelter down in Indiana, M1 Concours, and sometimes even a pre-loved vehicle for half that cost can be something you can start with. Just want to make sure that you don't get halfway into a project with one Rough Country. You don't hate the parts. Hate the person who's putting them in.
Yeah, that's it.
They are not doing it right.
That's true. And, Rich, what do you think about that? That's a very good point that Steve's making. Whether it's a Superformance build, whether it's a Rough Country build, doesn't matter. People get started on these things and they get jammed up, and then you're the bad guy.
Yeah, well, the good thing about Superformance, again, a lot of companies across the country make replicas. Most of them are kit cars.
Not a Superformance car, though.
Definitely not a kit.
Yeah.
Right. So our cars are factory built, same way, same day, every month, every year for the past 25 years. They're built at our factory in South Africa. You don't get, when you get a kit car, it's built on top of a donor. It's got lots of parts from everywhere. The good thing about Superformance is they are factory built. So we really don't see many problems. They're flown over here from South Africa to our Irvine showroom as complete rolling chassis. We'll send it down the street to have the drivetrain, whatever the customer wants to put in the car, 289, 427. You want to put a Chevrolet in a Cobra, you can do it. I'll try to talk that guy off that ledge. That's what he wants to do. We'll do it for him. But the cars run perfect. By the time we'll send it over to our preferred installer in Orange, California, here is V's Performance. The guy's the best in the business. Maybe not as good as you, Bub, but he is super, super good. And he'll fine-tune that car when it gets back to us. and we give it to the customer. It runs perfect. Hey, you know, Steve, I wanted to tell you, speaking of Kenny Lingenfelter, good friend, good guy.
Yes, that's
we were
correct.
just on, we flew Kenny out here to L.A., and we were on Jay Leno's show a couple weeks ago, Jay Leno's Garage. So we took a couple of our Corvette Grand Sports, one of them with the Lingenfelter LT4 in it, and we did an episode of Jay's Garage, or Jay Leno's Garage. It hasn't aired yet. I guess it takes a couple months to edit these things, but what a super guy.
Yeah, he is.
Lingenfelter is, isn't he?
Well, you know, I want to say something about, you know, even Jay Leno, when he left the Tonight Show, went on podcast, and it took years for him to come back and compete in this industry. And it's literally a privilege for me to be on Bubba's show and Tom's show and Rich talking with you. I get a chance to talk to superstars like yourself all the time, and everybody should just know, just really nice people. Molly Saline, you know, and everybody else out there, Ken Lingenfelter. We're not dropping names, but boy, you just walk in, you grab a cup of coffee.
Yep.
I'm looking at your Corvettes right now, your GS 0016, just smoking out there. And, you know, people should say, hey, you know, I just want to walk in. And I'm sure your showroom is open to everyone.
Oh, yeah. Rich is good about
Can
that.
I take a look? Am I correct?
Yeah, Rich is good about that.
You're absolutely correct. As a matter of fact, Steve, we just purchased a new building and moved. Same city. We're in Irvine, California. But we bought a building that's literally, we are killing it now. It's a great time to be at Superformance. We grew out of our old building. So we purchased another one with the showroom space of about 50 to 60% more. So we have about 50 to 60 to 70 cars, and not all of them are rolling chassis. We take cars in on consignment too and sell them for the customers. So we've got Steve, when you walk into our showroom, people are just blown away. We're doing a movie. I can't talk too much about it.
We're doing a movie. There you go. We're doing a movie.
Well, it's 20th Century Fox. 20th Century Fox is actually making a movie about Shelby American and a bunch of other stuff that I can't get into much right now. But I invited the director and some of the executives out to the showroom a couple of weeks ago. And literally there was 17 of these people that made the trek from L.A. to Orange County. And it's every single one of them, to the man, when they walked into the showroom, their mouths just dropped.
That's quality.
It's a beautiful sight.
That's quality. And you know what's funny too? Good morning to Dennis. Dennis says, "Happy birthday, Tom." Thank you, Dennis, and thank you for the years and years of electrical support, so Bub could be who he is electrically today. Very much appreciate it, Steve. Thank you for the happy birthday. Good morning to Mark Hoffman, the BEM Dirt Tack driver. He's up there in Maryland listening, and he says happy birthday. Thank you, Mark, very much. Bub, I want to share, you know, Rich is talking about the beauty of the new facility for Superformance out there, which is long overdue, man. They overgrew that place big time, right? Mm-hmm. And we had a couple people stop in yesterday, a couple fans stop in. We typically keep the gates closed so fans can't get in while we're moving and grooving. Not that we're trying to separate ourselves, it's that we have to focus on our work here.
Right.
And not that anybody looks at the no trespassing signs or anything like that. No. And they don't, guys. They just come straight in, and I walk out. You know, my office window from the administrative building looks out towards. Well, Steve, you know how our facility's laid out. You've seen it here, and it looks out into the main facility.
You know, I'm just going to turn on the lights on the ambulance and just pull in. I think you'll let me pull in.
That's it. And with the lights on, maybe people stay away, right? I don't know. And these two gentlemen were out there in the main facility. Bub's underneath the BEM SEMA rough country Jeep, literally underneath of it, tightening up all the suspension components because he doesn't do it on the lift. He wants no flex in it. He wants to tighten it up in real conditions. And there's two gentlemen out there talking. Look at a 429 semi-Hemi that Bub's building, an Eleanor semi-Hemi that he's building. And I'm like, hey, guys, what are you doing out here in my main facility, you know? And they're like, man, you know, we own a street rod shop south of here in Hollywood, Florida, and we drove up. We really wanted to see the place in person. I'm like, but did you not see the sign out there, you know? And the one thing they said is how beautiful the facility, how clean it is, Rich. And that's paralleling to your point and the way Bub keeps our facility here.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, people are blown away. I mean, these are grown-ass men that walk into the showroom, and they're just like a kid in a candy store. it's just, you don't expect it to, because we're in a business district. It's a huge building.
Yep.
It's in the business district in Irvine. You don't really expect to walk through these big doors and see these exotic cars. So it's great. I love to watch people's expressions. It's all the same. It's the mouths all drop and they start to drool. And these cars almost sell themselves, man. I don't know why I even get paid to do this.
So here's my question for you. So let's just start from the beginning. So somebody wants to get a super performance car. Where does it start?
Well, typically, but people find us either, number one, they hear about us. So they'll go
Right.
to our website to see the car selection that we have, or they'll come into our showroom in Irvine, California. So what they'll do is I'll walk them through the showroom. We have, as I mentioned earlier, if you want a Cobra Roadster, we'll sell, by the way, about 7 of our Mark III, the Cobras that Super Performance produces, that are licensed, only Cobra in the world, licensed by Shelby American. The price point is much lower, so we'll sell about 7 of those cars to any one of the others. The Grand Sports start at about $160, $165.
Okay.
You can get a fully built out Super Performance Cobra Mark III with 18-inch tires and rims, 427. We'll put a 289 in there if you want, for about $95,000. So that's one of the reasons also why we sell so many more. It's our bread and butter, the Cobra Mark III.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons, because the price point is lower. But you could take it out on the track and you could blow away just about anything with this Super Performance car. It's got more modern suspension. And so they'll look for the fit and finish that they want. We've got 45 for them to choose if they want a solid color Cobra, if they want a Cobra with stripes, if they want a yellow Cobra with black stripes, we have it. If we don't have it in the showroom, we could build it for them spec at the factory, and that takes about 4 months for the factory to build the car and have the car shipped over to our Irvine showroom. Once it gets to our showroom, by this time they'll have already chosen their powertrain, right?
Right.
So we'll send it over to V's Performance. He'll put it in. That usually takes, whether he wants a Roush 427, a Shelby 289, Shelby 427, a Ford racing engine. We get that engine, put it in, send it back to our showroom. In about 5 weeks after that, right? It takes about 5 weeks to get the engine and have it installed. The customer comes and picks up the car and drives it away. And, quickly, you guys were mentioning about cars going up. It's a proven fact over 25 years. Every Super Performance Cobra is sold for more than the owner previously bought it for. As the new cars keep going up, and they do, the price rises every single year. It's kind of like a rising tide lifts all boats. The Super Performance pre-owned cars go up as well. So you could buy these cars for a certain price, run the hell out of them for 5-10 years, have enjoyment of driving these cars, and you can sell them as an investment for more money than you previously bought them. I mean, what's better than that?
Well, or you could have me who takes it home.
I just want to
Go ahead, Steve.
go ahead. I'm just saying, I'm looking at the website here on Super Performance, and I'm looking at the dealers and distributors around the world. And I deal with the Radical team out of England, also manufactured there and shipped around the world. And they have the Radical Cup through Dubai and South Africa. They're everywhere. But I'm looking at the dealers, Rich, in the United Kingdom, in Belgium, in Japan, no less the Hillmark Group here in the United States. I mean, you're everywhere. I mean, it's just the real testament from Austin, Texas, San Ramon, Tucson, Westchester, Pennsylvania, Gear One. I mean, people want these cars. They just don't know where to get them. And, superperformance.com is a pretty easy way to take a look and say, hey, we have some over here.
Yeah, right on, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Steve. Absolutely. We're around the world.
And you know what the other thing is, too?
That's right.
I
Hey,
know.
I got it.
Go ahead, Steve.
I said, I got to get going here. I'm on my way to a Chicago Police Department event, the Ride to Remember, where we get together at 3151 West Harrison, about 3,000 motorcycles.
Wow.
And remember the fallen.
Yeah, man.
Who protect us every day. With my son just home from Afghanistan, Captain Jared Thomashefsky in Kabul, we want to do a shout out to all our men and women first responders especially down there in Jupiter and now out in Irvine, who protect us every day. And when they have events, Talking Cars is there. We're bringing that ambulance.
Right on, man.
We're live. And what a privilege. Rich, Tom, happy birthday. Bubba,
Thank you,
God
man.
bless you.
God bless
We
you,
look
man.
forward to being on your show again. And with Talking Cars,
Right
as we
on.
always say, you can't stand behind our troops. I suggest you stand in front of them.
Yeah, right
We'll
on.
see you next time.
Love
on
you, brother.
Talking Cars.
See you,
Thanks,
Steve.
guys.
Thanks, Steve.
Hey,
And
I love everything you just said.
yeah,
Nice
he's a
talking
good
to you,
dude.
Steve.
Steve's a great cat, man. He really is. We've been together a lot of years, man. Long time, haven't we, bub?
Yeah.
Gosh, dang it. Now, the one thing I'm thinking, Steve, is, with Steve is, he's always been very patriotic. And if you look at his Facebook page, his sons are all in their Air Force uniforms. And he mentioned that his son, the captain, had just come back from Afghanistan. The last picture that he put up there, his son was a second lieutenant. So he's been promoted. So congratulations, Steve, to your son. And Rich, here's what I'm thinking, too. That we sit in the highest concentration of exotic cars anywhere in the world, right here in Jupiter. It's where all the celebrities live and all the cars are, right? Why don't I have a couple of those Superformance cars, even if they're static models parked right here for sale, and people just come right to you to buy these cars, but they're here for people to see?
I think maybe we could work out something. First of all, let me just say full respect to Steve's family.
Thanks, man.
I am a big advocate and supporter of our military.
Me too.
And thank you for his family service. I think we can work something out, Steve. Let's talk. Let's talk after the show.
Yeah, we should. I really do. I can tell you this, Bub. I'm not allowed to disclose too much. Much like you're not allowed to with the show. We are going to be displaying a very well-recognized international brand here very shortly. It's a big thing. And I'll discuss it with you as a sidebar off the air. Because of the trust factor. I think if we had a couple of those Superformance cars here on display, all the title work paperwork goes straight through you up there in California, but a place where people could physically come see the quality of the Superformance cars. I mean, Bub, you've seen all of the kit cars. Yeah. And you've got one of your clients owns a Superformance car here locally. Yeah. It's a white one, right? Is it white? I think?
Yeah, there's a few of them.
Yep. And the one thing you can't stop talking about is the professed quality, and that's why you've always been a Superformance car freak, man. That's why.
Well, you know it is, man. It's number one quality out there, and it's as Rich has mentioned, man. There's plenty of these guys out there that are selling these replica kit cars. In terms of Cobras, in terms of the Daytonas.
Every one of them.
Listen, man, I can't tell you the stuff that I've seen where these guys buy them. They buy these rolling bodies and frame kits and chassis and crap and have them freight shipped to their house because they want to do this Weekend Warrior project, and they're like 20 grand into this thing, and the thing's a freaking basket case. It's got coolant flowing out of it and wires dragging the ground. I mean, listen, we've seen some serious stuff, right? So it's totally different than what you're buying when you get a Superformance car. You're buying that because you are buying a mass production luxury replica, and that's exactly what you're getting. You're getting something that's proven, it's turnkey, and it's going to come out the same exact quality every time. It's not going to fail. And that's what I'm thinking, Bub. You know what? We have Supercar Week coming up. Supercar Week, Bub. Tell everybody what Supercar Week is. So yeah, man, that's South Florida's. It's the hottest, the biggest go-to. It's an entire week long worth of full-on supercars and exotics that are just lining the streets down on Flagler Drive here in West Palm, and it's everything from events to cocktail parties to, going out to the track to running these things on the final day, to polo clubs, to, just events and charities and, all kinds of stuff. That's just a whole week's worth of time of streets closed and high-end rides all over the place. And literally we have Bugatti Veyrons here. They're all here. Yeah. And I think that there's a place for a couple of these Superformance cars to be seen by the general public. I mean, we're down there with Vanilla Ice and the whole crew when we're doing that event, Bub. And man, Rich, those cars, if they had the proper presence in the South Florida area, they'd walk out the door, man.
Yeah, we do have a dealer in the Gulf Coast in Florida. I don't know how close he is to Jupiter, but
3 hours away.
Again, I think is that what it is? I think it's a great idea. So let me see what I can work out. And look, I love what you guys do. I love your show.
Thank you, man.
I watch you guys all the time, and I've told you this before, Tom. Man, I respect how great is it that you and Bub can work together.
You have no idea, man.
You guys are successful at it. You know, a lot of people work as a family, but you know, are successful. You guys have the best of everything. You love what you do, and you're working together. And man, I can't tell you the respect I have for both of you.
Well, it's thank you, Rich. I am as I grow another year older today. I'm not. I look. I don't look at a birthday from a personal standpoint as another day of age. I try to live young in my mind. But to be with my son every day, even though there are challenges, I wouldn't trade what I do for the world. I wouldn't trade it for Donald Trump's money. And let's face it, you and I both know there's not a lot of money left over at the end of the day when you own a business. There's just not. And because you put it back into your business, into your people, and into your, you put it back in, you give it back, right? But I wouldn't trade it for anything, man. I'm telling you, Rich, I wouldn't trade it for anything. To be with Bub every day, all day, I wouldn't trade it.
You're living the life, my friend.
It's
keeping you young too. You look good for 75.
Right on. Did you see, Rich, the gorgeous, the stunningly beautiful, you watch the show all the time, the yellow and black GTX1 that Bub rolled out last Friday? Oh my God.
Oh God. That car is gorgeous.
Didn't it turn out nice, man? Oh, it just and the history of that car was, that designer that was with Ford that helped initially.
One of one, right?
That's it. That's the one of one car. Yeah, it is. And Gennady took all those people's money, and their cars didn't get done, and they pulled all their cars out of there they're paying $100,000 to get them put back together. And look what Bub did with that car, man. Just absolutely stunning. The target top and the whole 9 yards, man.
I'm looking at it right now on your website. I think the lines are just spectacular. You guys did a great job. Bub did a great job on that car.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? And that was
a lot of work in that sucker right there, boy. That was, that was one of those ones where, hey, if it wasn't right, take it back in the paint shop again. And let me tell you, we did. There were a couple pieces. There are a couple of pieces on that thing that even after I got through mock-up, when you do these assembly, you do these custom rides and these designs. Sometimes you've got to go back to the drawing board, even if it's for a 16th of an inch. And, the end user, whoever's buying it, whoever's paying for it, whoever the client is, they don't necessarily see that kind of stuff, man. But sometimes that 16th of an inch could be another week's worth of work. In terms of stripping something down, in terms of making that mod or that doing that alteration. Yeah. And then, moving that back into the paint shop and doing it again. And that's what I had to do it a couple times with a few of those panels on that ride. Even after paint, I'd go to put them back on the car. And I'd be like, nope, still don't like it. Take it back off and do it again, So it was a bear to get that thing done. But I'll tell you what, just pushing over that $675,000 appraisal value on it, the client sure is going to be happy with that one.
No doubt. Well, you're the best in the business, and he couldn't have taken it to a better place.
Right on. Well, it was great because you know my reputation, Rich. I can wreck anything, and then of course I come back and give Bub a compliment and say, "Hey, man, would you like it? Would you like a glass of water or anything like that?" And I turn around and knock the freshly painted C notches
right onto the floor, right onto the floor, and I was like, "Well, sand them back down." Just a huge chunk of paint taken right out. Didn't even finish drying in the booth, and I was like, "Just freaking sand it back down. I'll start over."
You guys are a great balance. You got Bob to clean up the mess.
Yeah, and I certainly make it, man. I really do make the mess, man. It's crazy. But Rich, I can't thank you enough for joining us today. We're at the top of the hour, man. God, I love you, man. I really, really do. I'll call you. You know what? You get into your Saturday. I'll call you in about an hour after you've had a cup of coffee and get your feet on the floor. A lot of people don't know that Rich got up early this morning to call us from West Coast time. They are 3 hours behind us, Bub.
That's right.
And I'll share a little bit of the inside story about what's going on with you as well there. How's that?
Yeah, why don't we? Actually, my niece is having her bridal shower today, and I guess I can talk a little bit about this really quickly. I know we have a couple more minutes. My mother is actually going to be there, and obviously men don't usually go to the bridal showers, but I'm going to go there today.
Right on,
my
man.
Mother quickly was diagnosed with cancer about 6 years ago. She beat the hell. She beat it back. She was in remission for 4.5 years, but it's back a little bit now. And
I'm sorry,
it's
man.
Metastasized a bit. So she's actually doing well.
Good.
She's on medication, and we're kind of restricting the cancer now to her bones. So she's going to be at my sister's house here in Villa Park for my niece's bridal shower, and I'm going to be there all day. So let's talk tomorrow about this. And look,
I'll call you tomorrow.
90 seconds.
anytime you guys want. I love this show. I love you guys. It's a great
too,
format.
man.
I can't believe an hour has gone by so quickly. It's a credit to you guys.
Thank you,
how
man.
easy you are to talk to.
Right on, bro. Thank you so much, Rich. I'll call you tomorrow. You have a wonderful event with your family today. Your wife just called. She said you do need a shower, so please do that.
I knew she had your number.
Well, the studio line, anyways. Hey, our love to mom, would you please?
60 seconds.
Our love to mom, man.
You can, Rich McDonald. My number is 949-900-1962. You buy a Cobra from me, you get a direct DNA link from your car to you, to me, to my father, to everything Shelby
man.
American, Princeton
Iconic
Avenue,
Dave.
1962. So it's a good conversation piece when you go to Cars and Coffees. Thanks, guys.
By the way,
Thanks so much, Rich.
real quick, right, Rich, Jack Bass, one of our very good fans up in Toronto, Canada, says prayers to your mother, to Richard's mother. So there you go, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. There he is, ladies and gentlemen, the iconic Rich McDonald. Love having him on the show with us, man. Just a great cat, man. Love him to death, man. But we're at the top of the hour. Thank you for telling us about the technical side of the BEM Rough Country Miss Outlaw Boutique SEMA build. I really appreciate that. Thank you to Rich McDonald. Thank you to Steve Thomashefsky. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to make sure you reach out to touch somebody's life in a very positive manner today. Let's open the door for somebody who's got their hands full. Let's put shoes on somebody's feet that have holes in them. And let's make sure we feed somebody who's hungry. A power bar and a protein drink is cheaper than your designer cup of coffee, ladies and gentlemen. This episode's been brought to you by Bubba's Exotic Motorsports. That's Bubba'sExoticMotorsports.com. Superperformance cars on the web, right there. Miss Outlaw Boutique on the web. It's all right there. And Orange County Choppers, Bub. Orange County Choppers are
Choppers done Bubba style.
Until Monday, ladies and gentlemen, let's just keep on doing it Bubba style.